Once I found out that my wife was being unfaithful with two other guys. I felt very hurt and angry, so I decided to get back at them and make them suffer for what they did. Hey everyone, I'm a 33-year-old guy. Let me tell you what happened to me. Imagine walking in on your wife, someone you trusted a lot, kissing two other guys on your bed. That's what happened to me. I first met Tracy, my wife, when we were both at the movies. I was with my friends and she was with her friends. We hit it off that day and started dating soon after. After a year of dating, we got married, but what started as a happy story turned into a really sad one. At first, being married to Tracy felt like a dream come true. We were so happy together. I did everything I could to support her and encourage her to chase her dreams. For the first 2 years, our marriage was great. Tracy was kind, supportive, and smart. I thought she was perfect. She was an amazing cook, had a great personality, and was always honest with me. That honesty was something I really admired about her. Tracy worked at a fast food joint while I designed graphics for banners and billboards. We both made a decent living, but I mostly handled the household expenses because Tracy used her money to chase her dream. Before we got married, Tracy confided in me about her childhood dream of becoming an actress. Her parents weren't on board with it and pushed her to study something else in college. But Tracy still longed to pursue acting. When she asked if she could still try to become an actress, I said yes without hesitation. I understood what it was like to have a passion and not pursue it. So I encouraged Tracy to join drama clubs, take up volunteer acting roles, and get closer to her dream. We even planned for her to attend a theater art academy once we saved up enough money. I supported Tracy's acting career because she was really talented. Despite her occasional dramatic flair, she had a natural gift for acting. Before we met, she had already taken some courses and watched tons of acting tutorials on YouTube. Her dedication showed me how serious she was about her dream, and I didn't want to stand in her way. We decided to hold off on having kids so Tracy could focus on her acting goals. Our plan was for her to attend the theater academy first, and then we'd start a family afterward. I believed that by then she would have landed some great acting gigs in plays, dramas, or even movies. I encouraged her to take on volunteer roles and audition for various projects because I knew she had the talent to succeed. I did everything I could to support her because I wanted her to achieve her dreams and be successful. When Tracy asked if she could pursue her dream of becoming an actress, we were still in the honeymoon phase of our marriage. Everything was blissful between us, no fights or serious arguments. Tracy was like a sweet peach, treating me with love and respect. During that first year, Tracy applied for many acting opportunities online, but she didn't hear back from any of them. It was disheartening for her, and she considered giving up to focus on her job. But I kept pushing her not to lose hope. Then, a few months after our first anniversary, Tracy received an email response to one of her applications. It was for a play, and they were looking for new actors and actresses. Tracy was ecstatic, and so was I. The best part was that the audition was happening in our town, giving her plenty of time to prepare. On the big day, Tracy aced her audition and got chosen for the play. She was beaming when she told me the good news. Plus, they were going to pay her for her time, which was even better. Rehearsals were mostly on weekends, so it didn't seem like a huge deal at first. At the beginning of her rehearsals, things between us didn't change much. We still communicated well, and our relationship seemed solid. The only difference was that Tracy was busier on weekends. She'd wake up early, take care of the house, cook, then head off to rehearsals, returning in the evening. It was a bit of an adjustment for me, but I didn't want to dampen her excitement about this opportunity. Besides, she was making more money on weekends than she did during the whole week. As time went on, Tracy and I started drifting apart. To fill the void, I turned to video games and spending time with friends, some of whom I'd known for years. I confided in them about Tracy's acting passion and how it was taking up a lot of her time. One friend, Eric, warned me to keep an eye on Tracy because he'd heard stories of people trading favors for roles in the acting world. I brushed off his concerns, insisting that Tracy wouldn't do anything like that because she was talented enough to land roles on her own. Unfortunately, my dismissive response shut down further discussion about Tracy with my friends. They just advised me to keep an eye out, citing statistics about infidelity among new actors and actresses. At the time, I was convinced that Tracy would never do anything to hurt me or our marriage, so I didn't take their warning seriously. Despite initially brushing off my friends' concerns, their words lingered in my mind. I started acting weird around Tracy, asking odd questions and behaving strangely. When Tracy noticed the change in my demeanor, she confronted me about it. I felt compelled to confess what my friend had said, hoping for reassurance. Tracy laughed off my concerns, reassuring me of her love and loyalty. She even went as far as to say that only a foolish and ungrateful woman would cheat on me because I was such a great husband. Hearing this, I felt a sense of peace, believing wholeheartedly in her fidelity. Little did I know, Tracy's reassurances were just another act. She had already been unfaithful long before our conversation, using her acting skills to cover her tracks. In the following weeks, Tracy's behavior changed drastically. Our conversations felt forced, and the excitement she once showed when coming home vanished. Tracy used to come home and tell me all about her rehearsals, sharing every detail about the people she worked with. Even though I'd never been to any of her rehearsals, I felt like I knew everyone there because she talked about them so much. We were really close, and I always looked forward to hearing about her weekends. But then, everything changed. Tracy started withdrawing from me, and she became defensive about everything. Even harmless jokes that used to make her laugh now seemed to upset her. It felt like she thought I was attacking her with my words. Then she started upgrading her wardrobe, wearing dresses that were much more revealing, especially on rehearsal days. I didn't like it and told her so, but she brushed off my concerns, saying those clothes were fashionable and I was just old-fashioned. As Tracy's behavior continued to change, I chalked it up to her trying to fit in with the other actresses who dressed fancier than her. I knew she cared about looking good and being competitive in terms of fashion, so I didn't think much of it. But my suspicions grew when she started changing her hairstyle every week and spending a lot of time on the phone, talking to a guy she claimed was just a fellow actor. Things reached a breaking point when Tracy did something that really upset me, and when I confronted her, she yelled at me and stormed out. It was totally out of character for her, and I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. That night, when my friends came over, I opened up to them about what had been happening. They'd even wagered that Tracy might be cheating on me. Despite all the signs pointing in that direction, I found it hard to believe because I had made so many sacrifices to support her career. Your friends had suggested hiring a private investigator to clear any doubts about Tracy's behavior, but you initially hesitated, feeling uncomfortable with the idea of someone following her. However, given Tracy's changing attitude, you eventually agreed. When the private investigator followed Tracy, she didn't come home after her rehearsals one night. When she returned the next day, she claimed she had been at a club for a fellow actress's birthday party and stayed at a nearby hotel for safety reasons. However, she hadn't informed you about the party, and you had been calling her phone until the early hours of the morning without any response. Tracy's explanation seemed dubious, especially when she claimed to have told you about the party beforehand. I started to suspect that Tracy was not telling me the truth, but I knew I could find out for sure because I had hired a private investigator to watch her for a whole week. However, I didn't hear anything from the investigator until I was away visiting my parents. On my way back home, the investigator contacted me, saying he had some important things to show me. Instead of going straight home, I met up with him. Tracy didn't know I was coming back that day because I had told her I would be back on Monday morning, but I decided to return early on Saturday. When I met with the private investigator, he showed me evidence that shocked me. He had photos and videos of Tracy with another guy, her secret boyfriend. They were kissing in her car, in his car, going shopping, eating out, and even a video from the night Tracy said she was at a friend's birthday party. The video revealed that she was actually with her boyfriend the whole time. They went to a club but left early and spent the night at his place. Tracy had seen my calls but chose not to answer them. I couldn't believe it when I found out Tracy had cheated on me. She seemed like someone I could have a great future with, but she destroyed that trust. After the private investigator showed me all the evidence, he told me Tracy was actually at our house with her boyfriend. I was filled with rage and wanted to lash out. I was too upset to drive, so the investigator drove me home. When we arrived, I saw a blue Toyota Venza parked in the driveway, the same car I'd seen in the pictures and videos. I knew Tracy and her boyfriend were inside. The investigator offered to follow me, but I don't remember if I agreed. The next thing I knew, I was in our bedroom, and there they were, Tracy and two men, caught in the act. One tall blonde guy was on top of her, while the other man was with her too. I was filled with rage and didn't know which man to confront first. Tracy was wearing revealing lingerie, her hands cuffed to the bed. When she saw me, she tried to move, but she couldn't because of the restraints. I attacked the blonde guy, while the other man hurriedly got dressed and ran off. Thankfully, my PI intervened and stopped me from doing something I would regret. Tracy started begging and claimed she was just rehearsing for her play with the man. Her excuse only made me angrier, and I felt like I wanted to hurt her. Instead, I left the room and told her to be out of the house by the time I returned. As I left with my PI, he showed me a recording of what happened, which he had secretly filmed. I didn't know what to do with the video, but I took it anyway. That night, I stayed at a friend's house, feeling embarrassed and heartbroken that my friend had been right about Tracy and her affair. It was devastating to think that Tracy had been having a threesome in our own room and bed. The next morning when I got home, Tracy was still there. She didn't go to her rehearsals because she knew she had messed up. When I saw her, I got really angry and told her to leave. I threw her things outside onto the lawn. She begged me to listen to her side of the story, but I didn't want to hear it. She stayed outside for almost an hour, pleading with me to let her in. At first, she seemed sorry, but then she started being mean and called me names before finally leaving. This all happened last week, and I've been struggling to cope since the day I found Tracy with those two guys. I can't believe it all happened without me noticing. I want to mention that Tracy and I split the bills, she did most of the chores, and I usually kept my feelings in check around her. I'm saying this because I've seen stories where men ignore warning signs in their relationships. Looking back, I realize I should have started investigating when Tracy's behavior changed, not just when things got really bad. But is that how marriage should be? Should you suspect your spouse just because they buy new clothes or seem tired after work? I don't think so. What's frustrating is that Tracy has been calling me nonstop since I kicked her out. I've been thinking about getting revenge and showing the video I have to her director. Update 1. Hey everyone, thanks for your comments. I appreciate that you don't think my actions are too extreme. So I did a bit of digging into the second guy in the video, and guess what? Turns out he's bisexual and is dating Tracy's director. Yeah, Tracy's director is gay, so you can imagine how hurt and betrayed he'll be when he finds out Tracy got involved with his boyfriend. As for Tracy, she showed up at my place 3 days ago. She looked really miserable with swollen eyelids from crying. But unlucky for her, my friends were there when she came begging. Even though they didn't say anything, their body language and eye rolls got to Tracy. She got so mad seeing me hanging out with my friends instead of giving her attention that she ended up yelling at me. So this is it, Mike? You'll let your friends disrespect your wife like this because of a small disagreement between us? Tracy pleaded with me on the porch, and I stayed inside, listening quietly. But when she made that hurtful statement, I couldn't stay silent any longer. I stormed out of the house, ready to confront her, but my friends held me back. I was so angry that I was willing to risk getting arrested for assault. Before Tracy left that day, she caused a scene, reminding me of the promises we had made to each other and how I had pledged to grow old with her. Despite my anger, I couldn't bring myself to say or do anything. She even asked about the support I had promised for her theater art academy dream. I wanted to tell her to seek support from her affair partners, but I just wanted her to leave, so I stayed silent. Eventually, she left in shame. I've taken steps to file for divorce, and once the paperwork is ready, my lawyer will send it to Tracy. As for revenge, I've decided to follow your advice. While showing the video to her director might not end her career, it will certainly disrupt everything she's worked for. The thought of exposing Tracy's affair with her director's boyfriend has me feeling even more determined. Thanks to all of you for your support. I'll provide another update soon. Update 2. Hey everyone, I'm back with some exciting news. Things have gotten even messier for Tracy than I expected. After my last update, it took me 2 weeks to track down Tracy's director online, and I finally found him. Turns out he's a budding director making waves in the movie industry. So we arranged to meet, and he showed up eager to talk after I hinted at having something important to share about his partner and one of his actors. When we met, I wasted no time. After some small talk, I showed him the video of his boyfriend, the blonde guy, and Tracy. He was devastated and heartbroken, and he even cried. It turns out he had suspected his boyfriend was up to something with one of the cast members, but he had no proof. He also mentioned that his boyfriend had cheated on him once before, but he forgave him because he claimed it happened while he was drunk. Honestly, I wasn't so concerned about what his boyfriend had done. My focus was on what he would do about Tracy and her affair partner. When I asked him about his plans, he admitted he hadn't thought about it yet. I urged him not to let them off the hook easily, especially after what Tracy did to him. Long story short, Tracy's director ended up firing both Tracy and her blonde affair partner. I'm not sure if he broke up with his boyfriend after that. Seeing Tracy lose her job was satisfying for me. I wanted her to experience the pain of putting everything into something only to have it destroyed by someone else. By the time Tracy got fired, the divorce papers were ready and my lawyer sent them to her. When she received them, she called me and begged me not to ruin everything we had worked hard to build. But I reminded her that she had ruined it the moment she entertained thoughts of cheating on me. I told Tracy that I was the one who showed the video that led to her losing her job with her director. I knew she would react strongly, and she did. She accused me of being jealous of her and hating that she could pursue her passion while I couldn't. I just laughed because I saw through her attempt to manipulate me, and I hung up the call. 2 weeks ago, she signed the divorce papers, and I'm now updating you all as a divorced man. It's painful, but I'm relieved she's no longer in my life. Thank you to everyone for your comments and support. Now, on to the next story. Story 2. I, 36M, recently discovered that my wife, 34F, has been cheating on me. I'm at a loss for what to do. Let me give you some background. We've been together for almost 17 years and have 3 kids. We've been renovating our old house for the past 2 years, but our finances are tight with no savings and lots of debt. She's the only woman I've ever been with, and before me, she had only a couple of one-night stands. So we were both relatively inexperienced when we met. She's been the love of my life, and we've supported each other through tough times. I'd always believed we were one of the few couples who could weather any storm, but it seems I was mistaken. With everything going on, trying to fix up the house, both of us working full-time, struggling to make ends meet, and making sure the kids were okay, we sort of lost sight of ourselves. Our tough financial situation and health issues added to the stress. My wife had been trying to lose weight for a while, but nothing seemed to work, and it really took a toll on her self-esteem. We were both feeling down, but instead of talking about it and supporting each other, we kept our struggles to ourselves. I escaped into computer games to avoid facing our problems, while she spent a lot of time on her phone. Things took a turn for the worse in the spring and summer. She started spending more time with her friends and going out partying, while I stayed home with the kids. I thought maybe giving her space to have fun would improve her mood, but it didn't help at all. I tried to ignore the sinking feeling in my stomach, but then I heard a rumor that she was seen kissing some guy at a dance in a nearby town. I confronted her about it, but she denied it, saying the guy had tried to kiss her, but she pushed him away. I wasn't completely convinced, but I didn't want to push too hard because I was trying to show her that I trusted her. As the summer went on, I noticed my wife becoming more protective and secretive about her phone. One night in August, I happened to see her Facebook password and decided to take a look to see if I could find anything about that dance incident earlier in the summer. What I discovered was much worse than I expected. I found evidence that she had indeed kissed some guy while drunk, but that was just the beginning. I accessed her Messenger and Skype accounts and discovered that she had been chatting online with two foreign guys, A and B, for months. It all started on Instagram when a random guy, A, sent her flattering messages, and they began chatting on Skype. In early June, after only speaking for a short time, she started sharing nude photos with him. Then, later that month, the incident with the guy she kissed occurred. She continued chatting with Guy O until mid-August, when his true intentions were revealed. He turned out to be a scammer using a stolen account and was just sending her pictures from that stolen profile. Yet she had been deceived enough to share intimate photos with him, and by then, she seemed to be falling for him. She had also started talking to Guy B, which began on Instagram as well. It didn't take long for their conversations to turn into sharing nude pictures and discussing sexual topics. In both cases, they fantasized about meeting my wife in our country, often at a hotel. She never spoke negatively about me, she just talked about me as if I were merely a presence in her life. If they asked, she would say that I treated her well, but then she would go on to express how much she enjoyed talking to them and how they made her feel good. But the worst part is still to come. In a conversation with one of her female friends, I discovered even more disturbing details. They attended a 2-day town festival together in another nearby town in early July and stayed in a rented room, which I had agreed to. However, what I didn't know and found out from their chat was that she mentioned meeting a 41-year-old guy from our own town named Gu. He was married with kids but unhappy in his relationship. She had met him that night, and he had come over to chat, but he had also tried to make advances towards her. My wife told her friend that she had managed to stop him from going any further. She didn't mention the name, but I had a strong suspicion given our small town. Additionally, I found in my online phone records that she had sent a message to a number belonging to a guy who matched the description. I was afraid of what might happen if I confronted her while the kids were around, so I kept my findings to myself for the time being. Instead, I waited until Saturday, the 24th of August, and arranged for my mother to take care of the kids. My wife is currently taking some classes to advance her career, and when she came home from class, I calmly asked her to sit down with me. I then shared with her what I had discovered. There was no violence, yelling, or name-calling, just two deeply saddened individuals, one of whom was hurt and angry. We talked throughout the whole night. She assured me that nothing had happened between her and this individual, and that her online interactions were merely attempts to boost her self-esteem because she felt I had stopped loving her. She didn't try to shift the blame onto me, nor did she scold me for looking through her messages. Instead, she admitted that she had felt insecure because she wasn't losing weight, and when these guys showered her with compliments, she became hooked. She acknowledged that her actions were selfish and aimed at seeking validation from them by sending them nude pictures. Although she now realized that she had been cheating on me, she hadn't fully grasped the gravity of her actions at the time. I wanted to believe her, but I couldn't shake off my concerns. We agreed to work on our marriage and seek counseling. Over the following weeks, things seemed to improve. She became more affectionate and attentive, our intimacy improved, and we spent more quality time together. However, I still couldn't shake the feeling that she was keeping something important from me. Then, during our second counseling session last week, she finally confessed the truth. She admitted to what I had feared but desperately hoped hadn't occurred. She confessed that she had indeed slept with C that night in July. Despite feeling remorseful and ashamed afterward, she continued communicating with him through social media. She confessed to meeting him twice more after that, but insisted it didn't go beyond kissing. Shocked and overwhelmed, my initial reaction was to freeze. I didn't shout or curse, I simply couldn't process the magnitude of what she had revealed. I felt a mixture of relief that the truth was out, yet also profound humiliation and pain. I haven't made any rash decisions yet. I haven't confronted the other guy or thrown the ring in her face. I don't want to involve myself in any potential confrontations or legal issues. After all, it was my wife who broke our marriage vows, not him. I'm grappling with a profound sense of disbelief. The woman I thought I knew wouldn't have done something like this. Despite her efforts to convince me that she regrets her actions and is willing to do whatever it takes to repair our relationship, I'm struggling to trust her again or believe that she's truly remorseful. I'm really confused and hurt right now. I don't know if I can ever trust my wife again or look at her the same way. I still care about her and enjoy spending time with her, but it hurts deep down. I want to make things work, especially for the sake of our kids and because our financial situation is already tough, and divorce would make it worse. But I'm afraid I'll lose my self-respect if I stay in this situation. How can I forgive her for cheating on me with not just one guy, but 3? Well, technically 4 if you count the time she kissed someone else. She was emotionally and physically involved with all of them for a while, not just a one-time mistake. It's hard to accept that she had these relationships for over 2 months, even if some of them were just online. She was planning to meet them, knowing what would happen. Has anyone been through something like this before and can offer some advice? I know people might say just divorce her and move on, but it's not that simple. I still care about her, and I'm worried about what will happen with our kids and our families if we split up. I'm also scared that if we do divorce and she finds out that people know the truth, she might hurt herself or negatively affect our kids' mental health. Plus, we have a house that we haven't finished fixing up, and we don't have any savings. We need to finish it before we can sell it and get any money out of it. Update. After receiving lots of supportive comments and talking with my closest friends, I gained the courage to trust my instincts. I finally acknowledged what I had been feeling deep down, that I couldn't forgive my wife for what she did. So last Thursday, I told her I wanted to end our marriage. It seemed like she had already sensed it coming, as she didn't seem surprised. She didn't try to change my mind, just kept repeating, "Nothing I say will change anything." Every time I asked her to talk, she just cried, and she even called in sick to work. We've been informing our close friends and family about the divorce, but she's been hesitant to tell her parents the full story. My mother knows everything, but for some reason I agreed not to tell her parents just yet. Maybe I'm scared of a big fight with my soon-to-be ex-wife, so I agreed to let her tell her parents about the divorce when she's ready. When we met them last Sunday, we broke the news, but since we had to leave 2 of our kids with them for 3 days during school holidays, it didn't feel like the right time to reveal the whole truth about their daughter's affairs. Instead, we said there were some issues we couldn't solve, which felt awful because they seemed so disappointed. They've been part of my life for almost 17 years and I care about them. They've supported us financially and love spending time with our kids. Lying to them felt terrible, but I'm worried that if I spill the truth, my ex-wife might get angry and make the divorce process harder. But I can only wait for so long. If she doesn't tell him soon, I'll have to do it myself. I don't want the real reasons for the divorce to become public knowledge, especially since we live in a small community. The truth might eventually reach my kids and they could face teasing because of it. I'd rather keep the truth within our close circle of friends and family, while officially stating that we're divorcing because we grew apart and want different things. I also don't want to be seen as the guy whose wife cheated on him. Now there are some big things to sort out. We need to sell our house and find separate apartments. We've agreed to share custody of the kids, with me having them for 1 week and their mother having them for the other. I feel like the kids should have their legal address with me so I won't have to pay her child support. It wouldn't be fair after what she did. But I'm worried because in my country, mothers often get what they want, and people feel sorry for them. Still, I'll fight for my kids no matter what.